And that's Michael Becton, the Giants Director of Cinematography. Sorry for the little pause there, folks. We had to restart our YouTube stream for those of you on YouTube. Thanks for being with us. Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Hackensack, or the studio rather, is presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. John Schmeelk, Paul Dottino with you. We recorded that Michael Becton interview yesterday. That's why we're wearing different clothes today.
Yes. Good thing. After all the excitement we had to endure last night.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure endure is the right word, but enjoy.
Enjoy and endure both, because, boy, it really sucked a lot of energy to get through these first two games.
Still had to pinch myself this morning that actually happened, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But so getting back to the topic of hand, and we'll get to that later in the show. The Giants Live episode, Pearson, is up. It's up on the Giants YouTube channel, Giants app, Giants.com. Hopefully a lot of you folks have watched it. Paul and I have had a chance to watch it as well. We're going to open up the phones and take your calls at 201-939-4513 right here on Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. Paul, so both of us watched Giants Live. Really good behind-the-scenes stuff in there on the draft process. As Mike mentioned in our interview with him, the stuff with the 30 visits is the cool stuff to me, behind-the-scenes stuff. I don't think there's anything that, blew me away, like, oh, that really surprised me. I can't believe that. I just think, Abdul Carter comes off as the type of guy and player that we talked about, where he's just very serious, and he's all about football. He wanted to be with the Giants. This is where he got to, and he is just very serious about being a very good football player. And I thought the thing that interested me the most was talking about the off-ball versus edge playing and which way you're going to go, using them at 4 or 5 different spots. That's the stuff that kind of caught my interest the most from the 30 visit.
I think the stuff with him and his family.
That was good too.
His dad talked about, making small-time money at a car wash just to be able to feed his family. And
he also mentioned that he was incarcerated, right? Prior to that,
It was, did he say homeless too? I can't remember if that word came into play or not. It was hard to listen to it while the traffic was passing by me. I listened to it on my walk. But here's my point. My point is, it's clear that he is very well grounded and has a tremendous foundation in terms of values, and his parents brought him up the right way. They taught him to appreciate everything that he gets and to work hard for everything he gets. That's something that you can ingrain in someone's character very early on, and usually they will take it with them through life. Not always, but usually they will. So when I saw Abdul Carter when he first came here after the draft, and I saw the business-like approach and the very calm, assertive demeanor, almost like an assassin on the field, the way he conducts himself. And then when I saw that clip with the family, I said, I get it now. I get it. He's not overindulgent. He's not overly bubbly. He's not all about fame and fortune. And that's not to say he doesn't enjoy it. Who doesn't? But this guy is well-grounded.
Yeah, you can tell religion is a big part of what their family is about as well. So, yeah, look, I'm with you. And I just think you could tell how excited Brian Dable was, how excited Joe Shane was. And it makes you wonder, too. And, fans kind of, we don't really know. And I was hoping this was going to be in the episode, but it wasn't. If both Hunter and Carter were there, who they would select. And but in all seriousness, like, the good thing about it is that, I'm sure the Giants had the conversation, but they probably knew they didn't have to take the conversation that seriously, because they knew that was never going to be a problem that was posed to them once you got to the last few weeks of the draft and you knew Cleveland wasn't taking a quarterback there, not named Cam Ward at 2. You knew that you weren't going to have to choose between Hunter or Carter. I do wonder, I would have liked to sit in that meeting and listen to that debate go down as to who they would have taken, Carter or Hunter, when it got there, because I don't think we've been told that in any pressers or anything, right? No.
Now, it is my opinion after watching the video, though, that, again, you may not have seen it the same way I did.
It feels like it was Carter.
It feels like, to me, they knew Hunter was going at 2, even though Cleveland was trading out.
Yes, I
Joe
agree.
At one point says, we don't know who it's going to be, but they're pretty sure Hunter's going to be number 2.
And they seemed very happy when he was.
Now, I don't know.
And again, that's not I'm sure they would have been very happy with Travis Hunter, too, by the way. But they seem quite pleased that Abdul Carter was the guy left for them at number 3.
Now, to be frank, I'm kind of curious who else Joe thought might have been a potential trade partner for Cleveland other than Jacksonville. Because he said he didn't know it was going to be Jacksonville. He just knew pretty much they were going to trade out and that Hunter was going to be the guy. Lord only knows what clues he had, who it was going to be, but he said he didn't know it was Jacksonville in the video. So anyway, somehow, someway, they figured Hunter was gone, and so Carter was the fait accompli number 3, and they were all the more happy to take him.
Yeah, by the way, the phone lines are open at 201-939-4513. Fans got a good taste of Charlie Bolin. He was like probably, besides Carter, he was probably said the second most words in the episode, I would imagine, right?
He did.
Yeah, he was great.
He did.
And I've told you guys, Charlie's a really good dude. He's a
Yes,
good
he
coach. I think he's going to love coaching him up over the course of the year. So, look, it's going to be fun having Abdul Carter in the building. I'm really looking forward to part 2 of Giants Life when they talk about the Jackson Dart acquisition and everything that goes into it. Again, I've not seen it yet. It's going to be fun to see it. I want to know how the trade thing went down. Like, are there going to be discussions in there about, how they decided which team they want to trade up to, when they wanted to trade up to, how much they were willing to give up. Based on some of the reporting we've seen, a prerequisite of that trade was that they were not trading 65.
Right.
Which tells me, by the way, that they had discipline.
Yes.
Because it would have been easy to say, well, we need a quarterback. We're going to do whatever we can to get one, even if that means trading 65. It doesn't, again, this is not based on anything we were told or Joe Shane has said or that he was even in Giants Life because we haven't watched that second part yet. But I think Albert Breer had it in one of his columns, if I recall. And Albert's usually really good with his information. He's usually right on with this sort of stuff. That the prerequisite of getting those trades done was that they were not going to trade 65.
Well, we kind of prepared fans for that. If you go back to a number of our shows going into the draft, how many times did we say you don't want to overpay, you don't want to force, and furthermore, that 65 is going to be right in the beef of the draft.
Hey, look, we talked about it. It was picks like 50 to 100 where you're going to have the best picks in this draft, and they ended up getting a guy that we both thought was going to be a top 50 pick that slid into that meat of the draft. And that's what you're looking for, right? You're hoping when you get the pick at any point during the draft, you look down and your choice is obvious. And you're like, oh, I have to pick that guy. It's not even like a position you're worried about. You're just like, oh, my God, that guy's sticking out like a sore thumb. That's what you want. And they were fortunate enough to have that with Darius Alexander at 65. If you don't have that pick, he's not getting the 99, folks.
From all of the indications that we had and we tried to sketch out for you in our minds, it just seems as though that was the most logical scenario, and it played out exactly that way for Joe. He was thinking along the same lines too, and it really worked out.
And to the point though is that we thought it would be difficult for them to get into the 20s without giving up 65, and the way they did it was that they dug into next year's class,
right? Because we also talked about that too.
Right.
You don't want to not only give up too much this year, but you did not want to necessarily give up a 1 or a 2 next season, and they didn't. They gave up a 3.
Correct.
So that was good.
And that 3 next year, will be somewhere between 65 and 90, somewhere in that area. So
let me ask you this.
Yes.
Of all the things that Abdul Carter said or did in the Giants' life that we just saw this morning, was there one thing that you really liked? There was one item for me that I was really happy to hear.
The one item I liked, and I wonder if it's the same one as yours because we haven't talked about
this.
No,
that's why I'm asking you.
Was when Charlie Bolin drew on the board and he says, okay, you get to rush the guard, the tackle, and the center.